What's up, everybody? We are back, and it has been a little bit of a TYT break in the action over here at the Vanguard. We kind of let our foot off the gas a little bit. We were like, you know what? We have a lot of exciting momentum on the progressive left that we need to be engaging with. We wanted to really sink our teeth into the Bernie rallies. We wanted to take the time to cover insurgent mayoral candidate in NYC, Zohran Mamdani. And we haven't even really paid attention at all to the workings of TYT ever since Cenk got back from his vacation, his tour de France, whatever the hell he was up to overseas. We've been pretty much zoned out. They've become pretty irrelevant. There's nothing for us to remark on that we haven't already remarked on before. And so we thought we were hanging up the gloves a little bit, so to speak, when it came to our beef, our long brewing battle with TYT. And alas, they have pulled us back in Ali style for one more bout.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Cenk and Ana, they keep like bitching and moaning about the fact that people criticize them, but no one would criticize them if they didn't do embarrassing shit like this constantly. As you just said, Zach, we were on about a week without having any new TYT
almost 2 weeks
content. We were just like, chill, as long as they're not doing anything super crazy. We're not going to nitpick them. We don't want to just become professional nitpickers, right? Not that they didn't say problematic or stupid things that we could have reacted to during that week, but like I said, don't want to become professional nitpickers. But they've given us some fodder, Zach. They stuffed this fodder right in our trough, and we're here to distribute that fodder for the folks today. We got some good shit, guys. This is absolutely insane and totally just impromptu, kind of unannounced. Tune into TYT last night, and they're like, we're going to publicly fire and smear longtime contributor, longtime member of the TYT family, Francesca Fiorentini, someone that most of the TYT audience still has very fond feelings towards. So weird stuff, but we're going to break it down. By the way, it's funny. They accuse us of the Vanguard only gets views when they talk about the Young Turks. We'll take a look at how many views this clip has in relation to the other videos on their channel that have recently been uploaded. I'm pretty sure it's you guys that can't get fucking clicks unless you're talking about this bullshit drama. This clip got almost it's almost at 200,000 views. I'm sure it will pass that. Their other clips have like 15,000, like 25,000. So sorry, bro. I think it's you that can't subsist without addressing the situation. And honestly, it's about time you took our advice, because we were telling you a while ago to lean into the controversy, actually talk about this stuff on air. Although, albeit not in this unprofessional way, smearing a colleague of ours.
Oh yeah, this is gonna backfire tremendously. Only 8.9 thousand likes on a video with 184,000 views, and I bet it has 200,000 views because this is the last 18 hours, so YouTube isn't going to give you the most accurate reflection of the view count, making this the highest performing video of TYT all month in 24 hours, according to my trackers over here.
Probably in the last year.
They had one that did like 250K that was about Trump with Iran from a few weeks ago. That's the only one that even comes remotely close to sniffing this guy. Gotcha. So anyway,
yeah, let's take a look, guys. This is wild. Pretty wild stuff. Let's take a look.
Recently, Francesca Fiorentini asked us at TYT to take her podcast, Habituation Room, off the network, and we happily agreed to that. And today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely. So you won't see her on any of the TYT shows.
Sorry, we can go back and relive that. But basically, in case anyone's not aware, what Cenk is doing is the whole like, oh, you quit? No, actually, you're fired thing. So Francesca's like, hey, take my podcast off your shitty network. I don't want to be associated with you. And he's like, oh yeah, you quit? Actually, you're fired. I'm going to be the one that fires you. And I'm going to now do it publicly to humiliate you in the process. But yeah, that's some Michael Scott behavior, as Chris in chat just pointed out.
Yep. I actually experienced a much more friendly version of this in my own life. I kind of quit the bar. I was like, I can't be the lead bartender anymore. And then they were like, that's okay. You don't work here at all anymore. And I was like, God damn it.
Also, do you want to go back just like to, we can just go back.
Recently, Francesca Fiorentini asked us at TYT to take her podcast, Habituation Room, off the network. And we happily agreed to that. And today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely. So you won't see her on any of the TYT shows going forward. So I want you guys to know why I'm doing that and how this whole situation isn't really about Francesca. It's about TYT, our community, and what we stand for. And so we're for open minds and open hearts. And so I want all of you to know that, and I want to build a community that believes in that and invites people in that believe in the same things. And by the way, if you don't believe in the same things and you say, no, I have a strict idea.
So his tent is big enough for Ben Glebe, Glenn Beck, Charlie Kirk, Dr. Phil, but it's not big enough for Francesca, the Vanguard, Mike Figueiredo, Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland. Yeah. Are you kidding me? These are some of the most sincere, good faith people possible. Okay, I don't see you inviting any of them on your show to have a big tent politics, to talk about it, to bury the hatchet. All you've done is bitch. And funny enough, what triggered you so much is when somebody finally put it out to you. They were like, Cenk, you're such a little bitch. Well, it's stuck in your brain so much you had to go and throw a tantrum and make her point.
Theology, and I have no open mind about that. No problem. There are tons of shows out there for you guys. So first of all, we've had some disagreements. I certainly have with some of the far left, but I think they've been relatively small. But if you think that they've been large, no problem. So they've been around the issue of crime. Did crime rise between 2019 and 2023? Well, that's a fact. It did. But it's okay. We could have different interpretations of it. That's not an issue at all.
That was roundly debunked by Sam Cedar, which was, I believe, a catalyst for the beef that Cenk grew with him.
We certainly are against police abuse, and we've fought against it. I would argue at least as much as any show on the planet, and perhaps a lot more. And I take great pride that Benjamin Crump, among others, said that Trayvon Martin would not have gotten anywhere near the national coverage that he did if it wasn't for the Young Turks. So nevertheless.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Trayvon Martin was killed over a decade ago, for one. Okay, he'd be a grown man now if Jordan Zimmerman hadn't fucking killed him. Okay, I was in sophomore year of high school when that happened, I believe. That's how long ago it was. And two, how dare you pretend that you're the reason from your fucking high horse over there in sunny California that Trayvon Martin became a national fucking case because of the Young Turks. I'll tell you what, I followed that shit every single fucking day and I'd never heard of the Young Turks.
Yeah, me neither. That's completely insane. I actually missed that part when I was watching live last night. I didn't realize he took credit for that.
Oh, disgusting.
We could have disagreements about specific policy issues, and we do on slogans and framing, et cetera. For example, defund the police, Latinx. These are normal disagreements within any community.
These are agreements I have with the right wing.
And I certainly would never want to shut that down because we're, again, for open minds. And of course, we've had some disagreements on the issue of transgender rights. Let me just say quickly what my position is, because a lot of people outside of the network have been misleading you about this. So I'm for 100% constitutional rights for transgender Americans because why? They're Americans, just like the rest of us, and they should have the same exact rights as us. They should be protected in bathrooms. They should definitely be allowed to serve in the military. And I happen to think that they should be allowed to play, transgender girls should be allowed to play in girls' sports in high school. Now, my position on that is not overall popular in the country. I understand that, and I have a strategy for hopefully how to win on that in the long run. But I don't believe
he seems really passionate about defending that principle of his.
That they should be mandated to play in college and professional level. I think the league should get to make those decisions on their own. I think that that is a small disagreement. Obviously, others think that's a giant disagreement, but that's, again, not the issue here. I think what the issue is when others, among the issues, is when others say, only my opinion is the correct one, the moral one. Everyone who disagrees with me is unintelligent, immoral.
No, Cenk, the problem is that you've had a bunch of conversations and you've had a lot of exchanges and you've done a lot of promoting of a narrow issue of the American people that affects almost nobody. You've validated a lot of right-wing framework over and over and over again, and you've had zero trans people on the show to talk about it.
Collaborator, et cetera. Well, we'll get to the specifics on Franchesca in a second. I'm saying that generally. And that they speak for the left. Well, let's find out if they do speak for the left. This is a little bit of Francesca, a little bit of Emma Vigeland from Majority Report, and spliced in is the actual facts about what the American people think, and interestingly, what Democratic voters think. First, let's watch this.
I'm a big Messi fan. So, but let me just explain this to
answer
you.
my question. Would you allow him, if he said I'm a woman, to play in the American women's national team?
You're using the wrong pronoun
Yes, right now. Hell yeah, are you kidding me?
Transgender female athletes in women's sports, only 18% of the country says that they should be, in fact, allowed to participate in women's sports.
Your argument is really bad on this, and you're out of your depth. You're correct that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, but your argument for it is just scientific.
That's so stupid because Francesca was clearly speaking for herself. Like, she was saying, that's my opinion. And yeah, she wasn't going to buy into their stupid right-wing framing. Now, does she actually think that like, fucking some giant male athlete can just go sign up to be a woman the next day? Like, probably not. But yeah, she was on fucking Piers Morgan, and it's an explosive show. She doesn't want to throw any trans people under the bus. She did exactly the right thing. But to take that, her stating her personal opinion, and then cut to a CNN clip. Let's cut to establishment media to tell you why we can't actually support progressive policies that move the ball forward for this, oppressed community. Oh, that's what's happening now? We're going to play establishment media CNN clips, right? To contrast with the independent journalist, a progressive commentator who was part of your network for a long time, to try to make her look bad when she just said that's her opinion. She didn't claim to speak for the left. She didn't claim to speak for the fucking Democratic Party that you just put a poll up of on screen. No, she said, this is my opinion. And are you saying she's not entitled to that? Not even on your network, but on Piers Morgan. She's not entitled to say her opinion on Piers Morgan's show if it's not in line with the polling. Like, what kind of fucking logic is that?
But Glenn Beck and Charlie Kirk and Dr. Phil can say whatever the hell they want to demean and dehumanize the trans community. And here's the other thing, guys. There are only very few people who are competing in professional sports who are transgendered women. But guess what? There are also trans men that compete in sports, and you never fucking hear about them because the right wing can't use them to fuel their culture war. Jake never talks about them because he doesn't actually care about sports. He wants to signal to the right that he's not as crazy as these other leftists. And Franchesca is committed to arguing for and battling on behalf of legitimate trans people, not that there's any illegitimate trans people, but legitimately battling on behalf of these people's rights because she doesn't want to create fodder for the right. Like, even Francesca thinks that, this trans person shouldn't be able to compete, et cetera, right? It's the same reason why when somebody is like, oh, do you think a woman should be able to abort her fetus at 9 months? I say, yeah, I support whatever the doctor's decision is. All right, Zach supports the murder of babies. That's the same kind of manipulation of words that Cenk is doing, but this time to do to his former contributor, Francesca, as she defends trans people's human rights.
Speaking of that example, they also did do that to Lance when he did say that on Tim Pool. And Anna was all like, I can't believe anyone identifying as a progressive would say this. It's so bad, so stupid. It's also noteworthy that Anna's not part of this segment. It's just Cenk facing the camera. Anna was on stream last night. As soon as the segment was over, she was, there on panel being the co-host. So it's almost like she told Cenk, like, oh, if you want me to stick around here, you have to do this yourself. I don't want to be on camera, but you have to fire Francesca. That's the vibe I get. And now Cenk is having to like piece together this hatchet job to appease Anna or something. I don't know. But I mean, it's crazy. Clearly he has very thin skin too. It's just weird that she's not here. And, to Cenk's credit, not that there's much of it to give, but he actually did debate Francesca. He went on her show. He's had her come on the Young Turks and hash out some disagreements, not all of them. But Anna, to this point, still refuses to debate any of her critics. Not Emma Vigeland, not Francesca, not Sam Cedar. They've all invited her. They've all offered. She refuses to engage with her critics. And I genuinely think that, again, Cenk went on Francesca's show. It seems like Anna doesn't want there to be any dissent in that network, right? So who knows? But that's a weird vibe I'm getting.
Not only that, but the last time we covered the Young Turks on our show was because Ana Kasparian, behind a paywall, took a fat shit on Emma Vigeland and Francesca Fiorentini. And we were like, fuck your paywall. This is newsworthy. If you're going to take a shit on our colleagues, we will put it up there and we will debunk the lies that you're telling about these people that we admire, look up to, and want to defend because I agree with their politics, right? And what did she do? She hid it behind a paywall. She threatened to sue the freaking Vanguard because we played like 2.5 minutes of her clip that she put behind a paywall. Okay. And then as you put out, Gavin, doesn't even have the balls, doesn't even have the tenacity to sit in front of the camera as she gets her way, and Cenk fires a longtime contributor. It's pretty crazy.
Scientifically and factually incorrect. I'm actually not bad about this. I'm 100% right on this. I don't give a the scientific explanations. People, if they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports. If that's not fair in the short term for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a.
And I mean, my goodness gracious,
Based, Emma.
79%. You rarely get 79% of the country to agree on anything.
Because the societal interest of including trans people in society trumps stupid competition. Full stop. So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
You'd let Lionel Messi play in the women's national football team and destroy
Hell yeah,
women's football
welcome.
forever. You'd let Usain
it'd be
Bolt.
very difficult
Hang on.
to get a ticket, which would suck.
I want to do a little checklist here. You'd let Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team.
Yes.
Okay. You would
Yes.
let Floyd
Also,
Mayweather.
like, again, what does this have to do with anything? They're not disrespecting Cenk Uygur, and none of these clips have anything to do with TYT, Ana Kasparian, or Cenk Uygur. They're literally just playing out of context clips of Emma Vigeland and Franchesca on different shows, giving their opinion, espousing their progressive perspective on this issue. So what are they getting fired for? Disrespecting Cenk or having opinions? I really don't understand. And because I see people in chat saying like, oh, you guys are missing the point. They're not getting fired. He's not firing Francesca because of her opinions and their disagreement. He's firing her because of how disrespectful she was. Then why the fuck is this relevant? Why are you trying to poison the well by playing out of context clips that you think make these two ladies look dumb, when in reality it just makes them look like progressive baddies? You know what I'm saying? Like they're willing to go out there and just be unapologetic. That's what you used to be known for, Cenk. That's what you used to be popular for. That used to be the TYT brand. That's why Francesca and Emma Vigeland both got their start at the net, or not their start, but, worked there at one point.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. And again, this is completely irrelevant. This has nothing to do with it. This is not disrespectful to Cenk or Anna at all.
Oh, 100%. And the other, and we can keep playing it here, but the reality is that it's all about his bruised ego. And that's what he's revealing here. This is no different than a Steven Crowder segment at this point, right? He's trying to be like, the left is mad at me because I have a disagreement with them. Here's all these examples of them disagreeing with me in a way that I think is going to be unpopular.
As a boxer in the women's American boxing team.
Opposing them in women's sports. You get 67% of Democrats, so 2/3 there. You get 64% of independents, so you get about 2/3 there.
So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
Okay, generally speaking, if you want to say that you're right about something, sure, everybody has their own opinions, and it's their opinions. That's why they think that they're right. It's another thing to say that you speak for the left. As you just saw there, 67% of Democrats have a position that is actually to the right of mine. I say that trans girls should be allowed to play in girls' sports in high school. 67% of Democrats say no, not allowed in any women's sports. So I'll work on my Democratic brothers and sisters, and I'll try to get them to my position on that. Nothing wrong with disagreements. And if Emma, Francesca, and others can convince 79% of the nation that is opposed to that to come over to that side, fantastic, happy to have it. Okay, so I think where the issue comes in is when things get personal. So we got 3 rules, generally speaking, on air here at TYT that are relatively bright lines. So one is, and I say relative, I'll explain that in a second. One is no lying. 2 is no threats of physical violence. And number 3 is don't denigrate personally the other hosts in the network over and over and over again. And I say relatively bright lines because it should be relatively easy to follow, but I get that people have disagreements about, hey, what's a lie? Are what they say about crime stats a lie or not? No, I'm not gonna nitpick that. And we get into heated debates from time to time, me and Ben Glebe in the past, me, Ben Mankiewicz, me, Michael Shore, etc. And I love those debates. And from somebody might cross the line and say something they shouldn't have, but we usually hug it out. And so I'm not nitpicking here. What we're looking for is, hey, are we all rowing generally in the same direction, or are some of us drilling holes in the boat? And so are you doing it over and over again?
What a horrible analogy to use, as your ship is literally sinking. Cenk, hello, wake up, brother. The only person drilling holes in your boat is you and Anna, okay? You are taking a massive ass drill and wow, I can't believe the only person bailing water was Francesca, bro. She was trying to get you guys right back on track. She actually believed in the Young Turks. She put up with way more than Gavin and I would have ever dreamed of putting up with. She was loyal to you guys. She gave you guys the benefit of the doubt. At times, months ago, she would even stand up for you guys and be like, I know Cenk's heart's in the right place. I know he means well. I can still reach him. I think important that we have real, true left-flank voices on the network. I'm going to stay. I'm going to keep contributing. John Iadarola is a good guy. I know I can have good conversations with him. She defended you, bro. She tried to keep your island from becoming irrelevant over here. And that's what TYT has become, an irrelevant island, an archipelago that nobody wants to travel to, dude. You just shout and shout and shout, and then you'll get on an airplane and you'll go somewhere else and you'll be like, oh, look at my network TYT. But they don't ever come and visit you there. They're like, oh, I'm not going to go on that 12-hour plane ride back to your island over there, Jake. So you've spiraled into irrelevance, and you have fired the only person that was steering your ship in a proper direction. It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. It's so telling that he's blaming TYT's failures on people like Francesca, again, for drilling holes in the boat. When in reality, the first time Francesca ever criticized Cenk, she did it behind a paywall on her show in a members-only video where she opened up and was honest about what she was experiencing emotionally, being someone who was a longtime contributor to TYT, watching what went down. She did that, again, privately for the members on her own channel. She didn't publicly blast you guys. She's since then revealed that after doing so, she reached out to Cenk multiple times, trying to set up conversations, trying to set up a dialogue. At one point, she begged, apparently, to have her and John Iadarola do a 2-on-2 discussion / debate with Cenk and Ana, where they hash out some of these issues live on air. And apparently Cenk told her to eat rocks. He told her to eat shit and was like, no, we're not interested in doing that. I'll come on your show for this little thing or whatever, but we're not going to do that. So Francesca has been reacting to the environment around her. It's not like she just decided to go on the warpath against TYT. And that's the context that Cenk is omitting. He's acting like Francesca just woke up on the wrong side of the bed and is like, you know what? Fuck Cenk. Fuck Ana. I'm jealous of these people. Let's start criticizing them. No, he's completely omitting the context that she's reacted to, and that's caused her to produce the sort of commentary that she has on this subject. She's also talked about the environment of fear at the Young Turks. Remember the clip we did, Zach, where she literally said, I'm scared. I'm afraid of Cenk because he's my boss and I'd never know who's next when it comes to who he's going to fire or who he's going to mistreat at this network. She talked about this. She's like, I hear Cenk publicly dissing my progressive colleagues, people like Emma Vigeland and Sam Cedar, calling them bad faith, calling them low rent grifters. And she was like, what are you talking about? I know these people. I trust these people. I don't agree with you. I don't think they're bad faith grifters. I don't think they're untrustworthy. And she's like, does that mean you think that about me? Again, this was all like 6 months ago, 4 months ago, whatever, right? Before things got really ugly. She talked about the environment of fear that she was dealing with, the environment of censorship, frankly, that Cenk was imposing, punishing his contributors one by one, punishing people that had helped build up TYT one by one as they dissented. So she talked about that. And yeah, of course, that's going to make her lash out a little bit every once in a while, living under that sort of environment at work. That's crazy. Specifically an environment where you're supposed to be talking about politics and caring about the news. This isn't just sports. It's not like, two football commentators exploding at each other over the Chiefs versus the Eagles. That would be stupid. That would be kind of unprofessional.
And that happens every single day.
Right, of course. But you know what I'm saying? If it actually got genuinely personal, it'll be like, all right, guys, this is sports. This is not sports. This is not the NFL. We're talking about life or death fucking issues for a lot of people in this country. So you can understand why Francesca would be emotional about this, why she would be, actually like taking this seriously in a way that Cenk and Ana just aren't, in a way that they have not been ever since and even before Trump got reelected.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing I'll add is that after that happened, after she went on the damage report and she talked about how she was really afraid of the retaliation, but she felt that she had an obligation to do it because she wanted to stand up for the trans community. She wanted to stand up for her other leftist colleagues that had been smeared. It's not like she was the first person to run off the boat. Gavin and I have been criticizing TYT on air for 4.5 fucking years. Okay, since 2020, almost 5 years have we been doing that on air publicly on our show. In that time, people like Ole, people like Sam Cedar, people like Emma Vigeland, people like the Rational National, David Dole, Mike Figueredo, they've all sworn off the Young Turks. Lance from the Surfs, they've all sworn off the Young Turks. They're like, fuck these guys. They can't be reached. They're not interested in pursuing a genuine progressive left-wing project. Francesca said, I'm going to do my best to put out the best work with you guys. Then she is afraid. She tells John Iadarola, she tells the audience, hey guys, please support me if Cenk retaliates against me for standing up for what I believe in. Cenk goes on the main broadcast and brags about how he would never do that. He says everybody that's ever worked for TYT loves TYT. And don't you ever imply that our friggin' former employees aren't happy, even though we've talked to people like Hank who aren't happy and our former employees. We've talked to people like Bonnie who aren't happy and our former employees, right? And now he's completely turning around and doing an about face. He's completely throwing her under the bus, and he's trying to manipulate the audience into thinking that he's justified into doing it. That's why there's a 7-minute preamble of him just trying to take cheap shots at her, of him trying to make her sound like a crazy beyond the pale lefty, because that's who he thinks the TYT audience is, when in reality, everybody just agrees with Franchesca and thinks you look like an ogre.
Yep, and that is literally the truth. I was watching this live on TYT last night, the chat was probably 85% pro Francesca. 85%. I'm not even kidding, guys. Almost every single message was like, this is pathetic. This is petty. This is humiliating. This is embarrassing. Stop doing this. Francesca's awesome. We stand with Francesca. Like, that was 95% of the chat, guys. And then a few hardcore TYT fans left that may just be bots, to be honest.
On purpose to try to create an issue, or even if you're not trying to do it, you are creating an issue by constantly attacking our own. And I have applied this 2 other times, which I'll tell you about in a minute. This all started, unfortunately, when I went on Francesca's show and we had what seemed like a normal conversation and debate about this issue until it made a turn. And this is part of the turn. Let me show you.
I'm reminded of the book by I think his name is Michael Schneider on tyranny, and he wrote, it's like 20 lessons from the 20th century about authoritarianism and fascism. And one of the things that has come to mind when you say my strategy will protect us is he has this chapter, I'm gonna bring it up, the first part of it, called "Do Not Obey in Advance," and he writes, most of the power of authoritarianism is freely given. In times like these, individuals think ahead about what a more repressive government will want and then offer themselves without being asked. A citizen who adapts in this way is teaching power what it can do. In other words, you don't have to do the sort of crackdown on the left around speech because I'm going to do it for you, or you don't have to come to me.
Again, you're misstating it.
And what he did is totally bend the knee on behalf of, oh, let's just wait and see, everyone. That is to a T what Cenk Uygur did. He said, guys, let's not judge Elon Musk too harshly. He's like, I'm not going to call Trump a fascist. I'm not going to call him a Nazi. They honestly gish galloped around hammering Elon Musk after he did a freaking Sig Hail. Okay, and now what are we doing? We're watching people get disappeared off the streets of college universities. We're watching people be just absolutely disappeared into the night. We're watching people who have lived in the United States for 50 fucking years have their citizenship revoked because of their politics, Cenk. This was the guy who you said everyone on the left was overreacting about. You were like, oh, I'm the kind of leftist that wants to wait and see, even though we already saw for 4 fucking years. So what you just played to the audience as supposedly an own of Francesca as an example of her lying about you, it's actually been borne out by reality, and you're so tone deaf, you're so removed from anybody who actually wants to resist Donald Trump, who actually understands the legitimate threat that he is imposing on people in this country right now. You're just missing the mark completely, and you're so blind, you actually think this makes you look good. God, it's beyond.
I'm doing the exact opposite. You're cracking down by saying, Cenk, you're out of bounds, so you should stop your stupid opinion.
So
and because you're implicating me.
I can't believe that a guy who I used to admire and who I thought had a lot of fight is trying to scratch the back of people who absolutely would never do the same for them.
So we just spent an hour and a half me explaining how I'm not scratching their back. I'm trying to get
but I can show you more
populace
clips,
to agree with us on things we believe in. And we
No, they don't. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I would kind of understand a little bit more from Cenk's perspective if she was only talking shit behind his back. Like, oh, she'll be nice to me, she'll kiss up to me and put on the kid gloves, but then she'll go on other shows and talk mad shit. No, dude, she just said that to your fucking face. She just said that shit to your fucking face, bro. She was like, I can't believe you, bro. I can't believe someone like you, who I at one point respected, would engage in this completely disgraceful behavior that's beneath you. That's essentially what happened. And that probably stuck with Cenk. It probably really hit him because he knows it's true. It registers as being accurate. And it's coming from someone that at one point he also respected as well. And I think it also just makes him insecure because she actually can say that to his face. How many progressives, how many former colleagues and people in the space have they recently spread lies about without saying it to their face. A fucking shit ton. Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland, Ben Dixon, etc. The list goes on and on and on. Lance from the Surfs. Like, there's so many people that they refuse to debate, they refuse to engage with, and they refuse to say any of the shit to their face that they say behind their back.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at one example.
I know that Francesca Fiorentini is currently attacking you about this, as if Donald Trump is unique. He's novel compared to past presidents. Certainly a special kind of evil that we've never.
No shit, he is.
Seen before. In her mind, these are the gulags that she was warning about. But in fact, this has been a long-standing practice. You can be against that practice, but Donald Trump isn't doing anything new here.
He's 100% doing things that are new. People have been legally in this country for 50 years. Mahmoud Khalil was a legal fucking resident, a permanent legal resident, married to a U.S. citizen that was born on the patch of dirt we call the United States of America. All right, his human rights, his fundamental civil liberties violated. Boom, poof. And do you know what? They're doing it over and over and over and over again, Anna. And that was what Francesca was warning about, and that's what you demeaned her for live on fucking air.
Yep. And this was, by the way, before they started shipping people, to these horrific concentration camp prisons in El Salvador, further vindicating Francesca, further proving her point right in the first place, and further embarrassing Cenk, who of course still can't come out here and admit that he was dead wrong.
Oh yeah, great point, Gavin. This was when she was arguing against the holding migrants at Guantanamo Bay, which we all, if we had a fucking brain and a heart in our chest, argued against. But this is Anna from behind a paywall, right? Because she wants everybody to remember, oh, this is behind a paywall. Well, sorry, it's on Twitter. Take it up with them.
Oh shit, Zach, we're gonna get sued. Delete the stream.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, nuke our channel.
It's absolutely ridiculous, right? And this is somebody who has never once had the balls to face Francesca, never once had the balls to face any of her critics, just has Cenk come out and clean up and take out the trash for her. Pretty crazy, pretty low.
Yeah, it's so pathetic how bad Anna is at, like, engaging with people who she claims to disagree with. Like, she won't engage with anyone to her left, any of her left flank critics. But even when she does go on a show like Piers Morgan, which is literally meant for explosive debate, that's the whole fucking point. It's like reality TV, but for political debate. Even then, she won't actually stand up for her supposed principles. Remember when Piers Morgan was like, "You're pulling a bit of a Dave Rubin, Anna. You seem like you're pulling a bit of a Dave Rubin," and she's like, fuck it. I think Dave Rubin was right. Like, that's her contribution now. It's crazy. But either way, let's keep going.
We've always believed it. And you go back and scratch their back.
At least the trains will run on time.
The train's running on time, presumably a reference to Germany. I'm the collaborator, and I'm scratching the right wing's back by having my opinion. The opinion.
From what I understand, that expression, the trains will want to run on time, it doesn't have anything to do with Nazi Germany and the trains that were used to transport Jews to Holocaust. It's actually just generally a reference that is like made in favor of fascist arguments, right? Like, people that are in favor of fascist governments will be like, yeah, you don't have free speech rights anymore, but at least they make the trains run on time. Like, essentially it's saying that fascist governments, authoritarian governments are often more efficient and effective at governance, despite or regardless of whatever human rights abuses they might be engaged in. So it's a very like PMC response, right? Like, oh, I don't give a fuck. My rights aren't up for grabs, but I want the trains to run on time because my business depends on it or something. That's actually, I believe, what she was referencing, not anything about the Holocaust.
Yeah, in our resident Italiano, Ron Placone, he comes out here and he says this is a direct reference to Italy, not Germany, which a lot of other people signed off on in the chat. This is a reference to Mussolini. And honestly, guys, after watching that clip I just showed you of Ana Kasparian mock Francesca for being like, Donald Trump is a unique evil. Donald Trump is doing something that we have never seen before, that he is going to deport people en masse and he's going to do it for politically motivated reasons, has been borne out in a horrifying reality. And we haven't seen a single apology or retraction from the Young Turks, but all we've seen is them try and throw mud on her fucking name.
I've always had an opinion I've had for years, and you guys have seen for years on the show. But if you don't agree with Francesca in that particular case, and some other folks in the extreme left, well, you're not allowed to have that opinion. That is immoral by definition. And how dare you disagree with them? That makes you a right winger, a collaborator, et cetera. But if you say, hey, Cenk, look, I know that she's quoting someone, collaborating with an authoritarian government and saying that that's what you're doing and you're helping the right wing, and that she's not open to the idea of, hey, maybe there's a different strategy and a different opinion on this that gets us the same result, protecting trans folks or whichever topic we're talking about. Okay, if you're not, and at that point, I certainly hadn't done anything. I think that was,
I hadn't done anything.
I didn't appreciate that, but that's okay. We kept going, and she's been on the network since. Then she started to do more and more and more, and it got more and more personal. So after that discussion,
by the way, just a quick insert. He's basically accusing Francesca of saying like anyone who agrees with Trump on anything is a Nazi because he's a Nazi. Well, Cenk was out here calling Trump a Nazi right before when he was running for president, quote unquote. Remember that fake, phony run for president that Cenk engaged in that was really just an attempt to sell his stupid book, Justice is Coming? Yeah, in that press tour, in that book tour, he went on Crystal Kyle and Friends and literally said Trump is a Nazi. So wouldn't that make everyone who agrees with Trump or collaborates with Trump a Nazi collaborator, Cenk? Wouldn't that be your own freaking analysis in your own words from what? How long was that? A year ago?
Yeah, this is a year and a half ago, 18 months ago. He's a Nazi. Cenk published this himself. He tweeted this out himself. He is a Nazi. Cenk goes ballistic on Trump. All right, and that was, as Gavin mentioned, an episode of Crystal Kyle and Friends, where he also says, hey, when I run for president, I'm going to take super PAC money because I'm not going to handicap myself. All right, so not only does he make himself look like a hypocrite because he says, well, unlike Bernie Sanders, I actually do think that we need corporate money to succeed, but he's also going to lie and say, oh, I never called Donald Trump a Nazi. And we're like, why would you be ashamed of that? He's a fucking Nazi. He's a fucking fascist. He is wiping his ass with the Constitution and Bill of Rights right now. All right. And we're about to watch it be flushed down the fucking toilet. I mean, it's just crazy.
And Cenk has repeatedly said that he would go to Mar-a-Lago. He would happily chat with Trump. So, I mean, call it what you will, but you're the one that said that dude's Hitler. So, I mean, would you go to Hitler's house and have tea with him? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I like that we can both be very Mediterranean about it and get like super mad, but then rein it in and be cool and then be like, we're just gonna yell and then we're gonna be fine and then we're gonna get over it. So that's the kind of beer I like to have.
Yes. Thank you.
2 days later.
I mean, I have my own thoughts on like why he's doing it. I think, if you think your brain was broken by the 2024 election, I think we're looking at a case where someone's brain was broken even harder.
Bro, it's so funny because that's so innocuous. Like, if somebody was like making me defend something that Gavin had said that I totally didn't agree with, that might be like one of the most harmless ways I get out of it. I'll be like, oh, he's brain broken. He's a shit lib.
I actually think that in the days after Trump was reelected, one of us said on air, this broke my brain. Like, my brain was broken by this. I think many people's brains were broken. That's a common expression. Cenk's acting like that's some sort of an offensive, like out of line slur or something. Oh, you can't say brain broken. That's so. Also, did you see how they tried to edit that with the SpongeBob thing to try to rip off how Francesca edited the clip of Cenk talking about concentration camps with the 2 days later in Guantanamo Bay? They're trying so hard to steal her fucking style.
No Riz. Fran has all the Riz. Cenk has none.
Okay, so but look, guys, if she had said that about another host, I probably would have drawn the line there. But it's about me, so I wanted to give more leeway. My brain is broken, and by the way, that's still okay. The first time she's getting super personal. Collaborator, maybe that's a political opinion. Now we're a broken brain. Even
I don't even think that if you were in like first grade, you could seriously be reprimanded for saying someone else's brain is broken. Like he's literally trying to gaslight us all into thinking that that's like offensive, or even an insult. It's not even in fact, she was kind of being nice to him by using that term. Like, I think his brain's broken, like almost removing his agency and not casting any judgment on him morally. And like, oh, I don't think Cenk's a bad guy. I just think his brain is kind of broken right now because of reasons X, Y, or Z. It's not personal at all.
No, 100%. I remember when Michael Moore suggested that Michelle Obama run for president. We were like, well, Trump really broke his brain. Like, he'll get it. He'll recalibrate. And he did. Right? He did. He came back to reality and was like, okay, Michelle Obama is actually not going to run for president. We were like, that's a good thing, Michael.
Even though we were supposed to have a beer and we were supposed to hash it out and be okay afterwards, but apparently not okay afterwards. But then that was the tip of the iceberg. She continued again and again. Here's the next one.
Posting his L's.
I do think it's sad that even though they allow people like us into the fold and the fray, they refuse to learn from us or listen to us. And I think that when you have been doing this work for so long, and you still cannot grasp the idea of intersectionality, how race and gender and class all intertwine with one another, and how the right, the fascist goal is to divide us based on these lines. Like, I don't know like who you are. Like, I'm not even, I don't even know if you're smart. You know what I mean? I don't even know. First of all, I don't know who your political mentors are. I don't know who you look up to. I don't know what your touchstones are. I don't know if you know your history in terms of like civil rights, women's rights, gay rights struggle in this country. I don't know anything. I call into question all of that. It sounds like you are just an opportunistic mouthpiece who wants clicks time and time again.
Ooh. Again, that is not even going to crack the top 100 nastiest things I've said live on air in the last 365 days. The fact that that's what he can reach to be like, well, now it's getting really serious. Again, it's like, bro, toughen up. Where's your thick skin? You constantly brag about how you're tough. You'll take it. Oh, it's just directed at me. That was innocuous. Okay. That would not even really stir me and Gavin. If somebody said that about us, and we'd be like, whatever. Like, you're going to have to really bring out the fucking horns if you're going to, get under me and Gavin's skin. You know what I mean? That's just basic disagreement. That is how the internet works. And I feel like one thing Cenk doesn't seem to understand about the modern internet is that people like it when you're passionate. People like it when you lock horns. You have to get loud and vociferous and fucking angry in your debate. It's got to be passionate. People want to feel your sincerity. And he used to understand that. He used to bring the heat so hard to Piers Morgan. He used to bring the heat so hard. It was like the best thing about him. He was such a bulldog. He was so passionate and an aggressive, progressive. And that's what we need. He seems to have lost all of his bite. He seems to just be bitter and an old man, and he's entitled, and he wants people to agree with him and kiss his ass all the time. That is not a formula for success on the internet. And so he's grasping at pearls when nobody else agrees with him. It's crazy.
Also, like, Cenk has a YouTube channel with over 6 million subscribers. The clip he just played of Francesca was broadcast on her channel, The Bitchuation Room, which has 150,000 subscribers. And that's really impressive, quite a lot more than we have. And all you guys should definitely go sub to Francesca's channel so we can get those numbers up. But come on, Cenk, come on. Like, really? You're gonna act like this is some grave transgression because someone who sometimes comes on your show said something kind of rude about you on her show. And also, like, she was just being honest. What, do you want her to lie? Do you want her to fucking lie? This is very relevant to her life. It's very relevant to her career. You've put all your employees in the situation, all your contributors rather, in the situation where they feel like they have to kind of address the elephant in the room whenever they're on their respective show because of what you're doing with the whole brand. So yeah, it's going to come up. But bro, let it go. Let it go. I get like it might have offended you or hurt your feelings or something, but you got to let it go, bro. It's really just, kind of petty and pathetic to fixate on comments like that when all of Francesca's beef with you has been substantive. It's not like when Francesca does a segment attacking Cenk or commenting on him, it's not like she's just playing his mean comments or things that he said about her, personal comments or attacks. No, she's like, here's something that Cenk has been doing that I disagree with. The strategy that Cenk is employing when he goes to talk to Charlie Kirk and Dr. Phil and Glenn Beck, I don't agree with that. It's substantive, not personal.
Okay, so obviously it's getting deeply personal there. Opportunistic mouthpiece, can't grasp simple concepts, not smart. But guys, and I'm not angry. Look, people have different opinions and they want to make it personal. It is what it is, right? I'm more sad about it. I'll say something at the end about that. But
let's remind everybody that he called us silly and Billy, dumb and dumber. He's called us all kinds of names over there. This guy who's super sensitive and would never get in the gutter.
He called Sam Cedar a low rent grifter.
Yep.
But to me, the attitude that is toxic, and that's what I don't want at TYT. I want to build a community that is really open to conversations, is they refuse to learn from us. So the idea is, well, obviously I'm right and the only moral center of the universe. And I already told him that, and this guy wouldn't even learn from me. It's just such a deeply arrogant thought that if someone disagrees with you, they need to be re-educated. And maybe they haven't read any books at all. Okay, did she stop there? Of course not.
And yes, as I told Cenk, I do feel very implicated. I have felt implicated by their takes, specifically around crime and policing in years past, definitely by this new heel turn since Trump's reelection, and absolutely by the misrepresentation of the Los Angeles fires and who the responsibility lies on. It is enraging, to say the least.
The Los Angeles fires are not the responsibility of the mayor. They're apparently the responsibility of Republicans, or I don't know. I don't know what her thought on that is, and I don't know.
The mayor this guy endorsed, the guy he wanted to become the mayor of Los Angeles, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to hire private firefighters to keep his property safe. Abandoned shopping mall, like an abandoned J.C. Penney's or whatever the hell it is. He's spending water in a state where there's a lot of fucking drought, where they need a lot of water to put out fires. He's using that to protect his property and not any of the homes that people actually live in. And also, by the way, Cenk blamed those fires being started by homeless people smoking drugs. We were speculating that this man's never been offered any drugs in his entire life, and he still thinks when people say, hey, do you want to load a bowl? It's a giant bowl. Like, you just start a really big fire in a bowl and everybody stands around it, and that's how you get high.
That's what he thinks those big trash cans are that the homeless encampments have. He thinks it's just full of like crack and weed, and they just throw drugs in there and all sit around and inhale the fumes.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a good time. Sounds like a drum circle I'd join.
Also, not to defend the Democrats of California, obviously they suck, but it's not like Karen Bass literally started the fire. It's not like she went into the woods and like planted a lit cigarette in the foliage or some shit. Like, LA's been on fire for like the past fucking 10, 15 fucking years, even before Karen Bass was mayor. It was definitely unfortunate that she happened to be in Ghana at the time. But I don't think if Rick Caruso had been mayor, then the fire would have been avoided. In the same way that like whoever the fuck was mayor of, X, Y, and Z given towns in North Carolina, it wasn't like their fault that the fucking flood happened, a couple months ago. It's a natural disaster. Sometimes these things happen.
Yeah, it's different than Cancun Cruz, who literally fled after the flood.
Yeah.
I don't know why she's enraged by that, but that's okay. Apparently, I've taken a heel turn. By the way, all those folks, not just Francesca, but others that told you we're right wing, you watch the show every single day, you see us criticizing Trump and Elon Musk over and over and over and over again, telling you how they're going to do a $4.5 trillion robbery.
What's crazy is he's going to brag about critiquing Elon Musk. My brother, you were in his replies gargling his nuts not 2 months ago. You were admonishing Francesca for being over the top in her fear that he was going to shred the Constitution, which he did. Okay, you immediately kissed his ass and went on a stroke off tour with PBD, Glenn Beck, every single name under the sun in right-wing media, as you trash not only your former contributors, but anybody who bothered to stand up for the trans community, the homeless community, anybody who said Donald Trump will be a fascist. Yes, Kamala Harris is totally inadequate and will not meet the moment, but she's night and day compared to this obvious charlatan fascist who had already tried to overthrow the government, a guy who had completely said to hell with the last election I participated in, I'm going to try and do an insurrection. Okay, do you remember that guy? You made content about it every single day for 4 fucking years and then pretended to forget the second you thought you might have a lane as being a fence sitter.
In those tax cuts yesterday, we talked about how they're already hammering Social Security and costing good Americans, what they need from Social Security, how they're going to cut $800 billion from Medicaid, how there's a series of robberies on the way, etc.
He's like, every day you tune into the Young Turks and we're talking about how right Francesca was from 2 months ago and how wrong we were to downplay and minimize the absolute assault on the government that Donald Trump and his fascist administration would represent.
But it's okay, let's just simplify things and say anyone who disagrees with us a little bit is a right-winger. But the good news is, at least Francesca will not be implicated anymore. And I never understood that, because she's been saying this for a long time now, that she was implicated by us. Then why keep taking the check? And it's not a big check, and Francesca has had a career before us. She talks about that. Of course she did. And she'll have a career after.
Why does she keep taking the check? That's hilarious, because at the very beginning of the segment, Cenk admits it was her that came to him and said, hey, I don't want to be associated with TYT anymore. So it sounds like that is what she did. You're just trying now to come out and act like you're the one who brought the hammer down, that you're the one doing this firing, like you're Donald Trump or something. You're fired. you fired. Like, that's what you're acting like, when in reality, as you said at the beginning of the stream, she was the one that came to you and said, I don't want my property, I don't want my podcast production to be associated with your shitty fucking network anymore. Now, would she still, I guess, like to appear sometimes on the damage report with John Iadarola, I assume, because that's kind of a separate entity, and she seemingly still has a good relationship with John. So I can't speak to that as much. But clearly she did display that exact principle, Cenk.
After us, there's no problem with that. So why, if you think we're collaborators and we've taken a heel turn and we're working with fascists, why did you choose to get implicated with us all these days? But good news, no longer implicated. Believe it or not, she did not stop there. This is now another show. Watch.
So Cenk's line up until this point has been, no, it's at the collegiate level and above. I think once you get to the college level and above, that's when it's bad. So he would be on board with what the NCAA said recently. But you're so dumb. You're so dumb. I don't even know how to explain it to you anymore. Unless, this is the other option, unless you also are a transphobe. You know what I'm saying? Unless you also are kind of a misogynist.
Because if you disagree with Franchesca or anyone on that part of the spectrum, well, you must be a misogynist. You must be.
Hey, we're the misogynists, pal.
Collaborating with the fascists. And obviously you must be unintelligent. Now, if I had called her dumb, I wonder what her reaction would have been. My guess is nuclear. But I didn't call her that because we have a disagreement. We have a political disagreement. You don't need to make it personal. Not done yet. One last one.
What has it got you? What did it get you? When you go and share a stage with Dr. Phil, what did it get you? Nothing.
Facts. And also pointing out for our good friend of the show, Hank, winners and losers in the chat, the link to his documentary is featured in the top right corner of this video in the original live stream. TYT went and blurred it out before they re-uploaded it. Somebody was like, oh wait, we're promoting a documentary about the union busting effort at TYT on TYT while we're trying to call out another one of our former contributors and, drag her through the mud for defending trans people and hurting our, number one host, Fifi's. It's crazy.
You know why? Because you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You look like a bitch. That's what it is. Like, that's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter. You don't look smart. You look like a bitch.
And by the
that's
way,
just the reality.
By the way, even if you want to say that was harsh or like, oh, that I want to pearl clutch over the fact that she said the B word. Can you believe it, Zach? Like, we're in fucking 5th grade again, right? Oh, we're in 3rd grade. Miss Clark just made me pull a card because I said the B word. So naughty, right? But, you can pearl clutch about that all you want. But is she wrong? That's what I'm interested in, Cenk. How about you address the fucking substance? Is she wrong? In the same way that she was 100% right about the gulags and the concentration camps and what a fascist Donald Trump was, and in the same way that you refuse to give her credit for being right about that, how about you give her some credit here, bro? Because she's 100% spitting facts. You 100% humiliated yourself. You 100% looked like a little bitch sitting there next to Charlie Kirk, sitting next to fucking Jillian Michael, sitting next to Dr. Phil, kissing their ass, pandering to their dumb fuck viewers, their lead poisoned viewers. Only for it to result in absolutely nothing. Only for TYT not only not grow, but it fucking shrunk. TYT lost subscribers after that humiliating, pathetic, display.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, I'm trying to put myself in Cenk's position, right? Gavin and I, we don't have any employees. We don't have any contributors. We only have each other. We try and split the workload well. We respect each other. We disagree sometimes really hard, and we always just kind of come back to normal. I'm trying to put myself in this position, right? Let's say I am supporting one tactic that's slightly less hardline than Gavin, right? Let's just say, for example, right? Gavin wants to take a really hardline approach, and I'm like, maybe we could do this other thing that's like slightly less hardline, but would still maybe get the job accomplished. I'm just using this as a hypothetical. And he's like, fuck that, dude. That will make us look like bitches. If you do that, that makes you look like a little bitch that's not going to ever shoot the hostage. We can't fucking do it, right? I would not even think twice about that interaction. If Gavin was like, oh, I think this, and I would be like, no, that's some bitch shit, dude. We should do this. Gavin would not storm out of the show and be like, you disrespected me. Fuck you. We were supposed to be friends. What? 20 years of friendship means nothing to you now? I'm just some bitch? I'm just some fucking guy? Huh? You don't think I'm smart now? And it's like, no, dude, we were having an intense political debate. Obviously, I still value you and think you're a whole person, but I thought that was some bitch shit. So I had to tell you that. Or if you have to be like, bro, that was some bitch shit. You can't just roll over and be cucked by these assholes. Come on, where's your fight? I might be like, you're right. That is some bitch shit. I need to fucking light a fire under my ass and draw a line in the sand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And if either of us went on a right-wing show like Tim Pool or something and just kissed up to the host and pandered to their audience instead of fighting back, I think, yeah, I'll give you the pass. You can call that bitch shit. If I ever do that, if I ever go on Tim Pool or one of these fucking right-wing shows and I throw the left if I throw our audience under the bus, all you people watching, if I throw you all under the fucking bus, stab you behind the back, and then fluff up the dumbest, most lead-poisoned, idiotic movement in the history of this country, yeah, you can call me a bitch. You can say that's some bitch shit. And yeah, maybe it will hurt my feelings. Why will it hurt my feelings? Because I'll know that there's some fucking truth to that. And I think that's what is affecting Cenk. He knows he looked like a bitch, and he knows he didn't even get anything out of it. It's not like he got a newfound, relevance. It's not like he got some huge career boost out of it to make the reputational hit softened. No, it's doubled up. It's doubled up because not only did he take a reputational hit, his channel is more irrelevant than ever, which is what's so pathetic about this lashing out. And again, Cenk can't even really deny what she's saying. He knows it's true.
Yep.
I've tried to tell it to you nicely. I've tried to tell it to you cordially. I've tried to tell it to you on your show, on my show, on every show. And so either you A, are a bitch, or B, you actually agree with the right. And I'm starting to think, in fact, I do think it's the latter.
Okay. So again, if I had called her that would have been a different situation, right? But look, guys, also on the policy or the strategy, when you go talk to the right wingers, first we did that, and I mainly did that, and there was a lot of blowback saying, don't ever talk to the right wing. But they won the popular vote. How are we going to win back the voters if we never talk to them?
Because the blowback was not just about you talking to the right wing. It was about the way you did it. And we've obviously gone through this a million times, but it was your strategy going in, not just the fact that you did it. Many times Cenk has talked to right wingers in the past, and he dealt with them in the appropriate fashion by debating them, by smacking down their stupid bullshit. He still does it sometimes on Piers Morgan. That's like the only show where he actually unleashes his, the beast, right? But half the time now, 75%, 85% of the time now, he just goes on there and it's really mealy-mouthed. He panders. He doesn't fight back. And that's the issue. And Cenk himself has acknowledged that. Cenk crucified Jimmy Dore and other people who were doing what Jimmy Dore was doing. Why? For going on Tucker Carlson and not pushing back, not calling out Tucker for the phony populist fascist that he is, right? And that's exactly what Cenk has done now, just not with Tucker, but with a bunch of other, frankly, even less impressive and less relevant right-wing personalities.
If we don't win him back, we can't ever win an election. And that doesn't mean the far end of MAGA. It means the independents that voted for Trump and maybe some right-wing populists that voted for Trump. Now I've noticed that faction is now saying, well, I mean, of course we should talk to the right, but we should only yell at them or we should only accost them.
Yeah, how about try debating them and not acquiescing to every single piece of framework that they throw out your way?
Also, Cenk yells at them and accosts them on Piers Morgan. He does that all the time. Like, you're throwing your own strategy under the bus. Whenever it gets heated on Piers Morgan, you literally start screaming. Every time you're on that show, the thumbnail is of your bloviating fucking face in the middle of a rage-filled expression. Like that, you invented that style, Cenk. Now you're gonna fucking shame people for employing it?
That seems like a really productive conversation. And now I guarantee you they'll say, no, I don't mean just yell at them, but just like build coalitions, as Francesca said recently.
We're not building coalitions with the fascists. The guys that are paid to disagree with us are not the people you build coalition with, bro. You could have built coalition by putting some people on the ground outside of any of the number of the historic Bernie rallies. That's another thing that pisses me off. He shut down TYT reports. He shut down TYT investigates. They don't put anybody on the ground there. They don't actually promote any progressive energy. All they do is promote right-wingers. All they do is bend the knee to their framework. All they do is throw the left under the bus and then ignore any of the positive things that the left are doing. You mean to tell me that the Young Turks has only done one mealy-mouthed tangential story on Bernie Sanders having 36,000 people show up to a rally? They didn't even do a segment on how historic that was. They didn't even tell you guys that it was Barack Obama at the Democratic National Convention about to receive the Democratic nominee as a black man for the first time in American history, a country that once had enslaved black men. Like, it was a huge deal. Bernie Sanders had the next biggest rally after that. Okay, do you understand how big of a moment that is? Do you understand that that is something new? That is coalition building? Cenk wants to talk about coalition building. That's what Bernie Sanders did by bringing the center, the liberals, to us. Cenk forgot about people who just watch MSNBC. He just forgot about all of those people who are on our side, but we hadn't really ushered in. He was like, I know, I want Charlie Kirk's audience. I want Ben Shapiro's audience. And you know why he wanted those people? Because that's who Pauly Market, that's who Peter Thiel wants him to usher into his audience, because he can sell those people drivel for the rest of time. Okay, he went on an effort to try and poach right-wingers instead of going to the green pastures and being like, actually, I want to have people who mostly agree with me join our tent.
Yeah, and he actually shit on those people relentlessly, the MSNBC types, the liberals, because they like supported Biden over Trump, right? Which is completely understandable given what we're all seeing now that Trump is doing to our country. It's like, yeah, no shit, people supported Joe Biden in the face of that. Can you really fucking blame them?
Yeah.
Apparently she's changed her mind about being a collaborator, but not with Trump voters. Well, who would it be if it wasn't Trump voters? Those are the folks on the edge of the middle of the spectrum that we got to bring to our side. We've got to convince them that the populist left is right, not necessarily the populist right, or parts where we agree. Hey, great, let's work together on that. So who are we building coalitions with if it isn't the other side or people who voted in the other direction? And if we
how about the countless people who didn't vote? This is all shit that Cenk used to be able to articulate to people. He'd be like, there's so many non-voters in this country. There's so many people who are disenfranchised. We need to get them involved in politics. How about all the people that voted for Joe Biden in 2020 that didn't vote for Kamala Harris in 2024, Cenk? Why would we not? Tell me why we wouldn't start with those people.
Talk to them. What are we doing? Only screaming fascists in their face? Or are we having a human conversation? So look, this is not an attitude that I agree with. Again, there are other shows that love what she's saying. And no problem, to each his own, it's a free country. Go and love that and yell and scream and do all the things that you want to do. But do you think that after you do a joint appearance with Dr. Phil or anyone else, that the very next day, all of MAGA is going to show up and go, oh, I changed my mind. You're absolutely right. No, this is a gradual process where Americans begin to talk to one another and start to learn about each other and start, oh, that's what you mean. Oh, that's how you perceived it. And we begin to have human conversations until we understand each other.
That's literally not what happened, though. You know, you went on Dr. Phil and he would push back on him and you would be like, well, what about this? And he'd be like, I don't think that's true, buddy. And then what do you think, audience? Do you think the liberals would ever give it up to the right wing for anything? And they say, no. And Cenk goes, well, agree to disagree. And then the fucking topic is changed to the next one. And he gets to humiliate himself again and not make an argument and be the left-wing guy that thinks that the left is too crazy, right? He's basically made himself Dave Rubin, except he's done a piss poor job of it and he's less successful.
Again, if you don't want to understand them and you don't want to do that, plenty of other shows. So she said, I tried to tell him nicely. Did you? Did you?
Also, shout out to Franchesca. She's got a new video dropping soon. We will raid the chat with all of that as soon as it comes out. Really appreciate you tuning in, Francesca. And I do believe Francesca will be joining the Vanguard in the future. So if you're looking for habituation with the Vanguard, boom, it's coming in the future.
Yeah, make sure to sub to the channel, everyone that's watching, so you don't miss that. And also, everyone, make sure to head over to the Habituation Room and sub to Francesca. Obviously, you know, it's important to support not just Francesca, but Ben Dixon and Mondale Robinson, all of the TYT contributors that have been cut loose by this fucking bloviating narcissist on screen. So shout out to you, Francesca. Thanks for tuning in. And everyone, make sure to sub to her channel so you don't miss that new video.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Even with 150,000 subscribers to TYT 6 million, Francesca is still infinitely more relevant. That's why they had to throw this long 26-minute tantrum about her on air instead of just moving on.
Yeah, and even their own audience was siding with her like 100, almost like 95% of the time. So that must have been pretty humiliating as well. But let's get through this, and then I really also want to take a look at the damage report clip of John Iadarola addressing the situation.
Because I might have missed that part. All right, guys, you get it by now. Look, there's two other times that I enforced this rule. One was when Sam Cedar was doing it to Jimmy Dore. They were both in the network. Sam's show was nominally in the network as part of our YouTube partner group. And that's what we were doing early on. And I was happy and thrilled with all the folks that were in it before. And then we stopped doing that since then. So God bless, no problem with that. And in terms of Sam and others leaving at that point, at different points.
This is him showing his ass again. He was actually mad that Sam Seder was hammering Jimmy Dore for being a phony leftist. He was like, no, loyalty to the company over loyalty to your politics, which is something that Sam Seder is never going to abide by. It's something that Francesca would never abide by. It's something that we would never abide by. That's why we started our own fucking show, because we don't trust any network producers like Cenk Uygur.
Yep, 100%. And Sam has talked about this a million times, but he actually invited Jimmy on to have a reasonable, polite discussion before he ever shit on the guy. He said, I called up Jimmy and said, hey, we're doing a video tomorrow. We're going to have to address some of these things you've been saying because we just don't agree with them. Jimmy said, oh, go for it. Tar and feather me, crucify me, whatever. And Sam was like, okay, I'll do that then. If you don't want to come defend yourself, then we're going to have to be honest. He was then honest. And apparently Cenk had an issue with that because Jimmy worked for him and was generating the Young Turks money as a company. I mean, that's just outrageous, especially given how everything Jimmy Dore has ever said has aged like fucking milk. And all of the issues that Sam had with Jimmy have aged like fine wine. Like Sam has been 100% vindicated, and he hasn't grifted an inch from where he was back in that era, back in 2016. He's 100% consistent. And like I said, he's been 100% vindicated. And it's weird that Cenk can't acknowledge that. It's like, yeah, Jimmy was being a bad faith actor, and Sam Seder had all the reason in the world, all the legitimate reason in the world to attack him for that.
And didn't he also viciously slander Francesca and like antagonize her over text message from Italy?
He's about to be like, see, like we enforce the rules for you, and now you think you can break them. That's why he's talking about this.
I see.
From that network we were trying to set up. But while they were in the network, I said, Sam, you can disagree with Jimmy all you want. And in fact, I agree with you on that, on the policy you're criticizing him on. But stop doing personal insults. You're doing like personal insult after personal insult. So I talked to him about that. He wouldn't agree. He loved the personal insults. He wanted to keep going. And apparently that's a thing that he does like. And that's what he likes to do every time, apparently. And so, okay, that's Sam. And
Sam is funny. I can't believe it. I don't know why this comedian who used to write comedy pilots and sitcoms has a sense of humor. I can't fucking understand it. Maybe that's why his show is painfully irrelevant right now.
But we did him gets too triggered, right? As he sits here and acts like Sam Seder is some bully. Come on.
Force it before. And then ironically, the second time we enforced it was against Jimmy Dore when he was doing it to Francesca. And he'd called her an effing liar, and he'd called her, and he said that she was a paid shill, which is a classic go-to move for Jimmy. Although he misspelled it paid chill, which sounds pretty nice. And I said, Jimmy, you can't do that. Ironically, he's the only one who actually apologized and said, I won't do it again.
Oh, I love how he's like giving credit to Jimmy Dore here over and over again for no reason. Like Jimmy actually apologized. Oh, Jimmy Dore.
You want some of that audience back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the difference between these situations, from my memory, is that Jimmy Dore was blowing up Francesca's personal cell phone with like belligerent, drunken text messages. It's not like he went on another podcast. It's not like he went on the Vanguard and said, I think Francesca's wrong about this, and I don't like that she's acting like a paid shill or whatever. Like, I don't think that's all that big of a deal, even if I would disagree with it. No, Jimmy Dore was blowing up Francesca's text messages that she then had to leak on Twitter or something like that, which is basically harassment. Just because you work with 100%
someone, harassment.
Just because you have a coworker doesn't give them the right to blow up your phone number when it's not office hours. When you're not at work, you don't have to deal with that person, but deal with him. She had to. She was getting blown up with all these weird, abusive, toxic messages from this drunken dude who's like fucking twice her age, being like, you fucking shit lib, you fucking paid shit. Like, she's like, what? Yeah, HR is going to have to get involved no matter what the workplace is. That's different than on your own podcast, publicly disagreeing in pretty respectful terms with your boss. Like, I don't know. That's a weird comparison to make.
Oh yeah, Jimmy is an unwell person. The one time we caught Jimmy's strays, we were talking with Ryan Grimm, great exceptional journalist Ryan Grimm, and he wanted us to ask him about chemical weapons attacks from Syria. We were like, bro, we have no idea what you're talking about. And then he starts spamming the chat, talking about how Ryan's a paid op and that he, is a stooge for Piero Midiar and all this crazy shit. Meanwhile, Jimmy has gone right to the fucking nuzzle and to suck from the tit of the right-wing money machine. Meanwhile, now Ryan Grimm does totally non-for-profit journalism over at Dropsite, and his salary was entirely public the entire time that he was working at The Intercept, where he did fucking fantastic work, by the way. And even though I've had some strategic disagreements with Ryan Grimm over the past time we've done our podcast. He's an incredibly earnest guy, and he took us seriously when we had no platform and was really kind to us, right? So I'm going to give that guy the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to be nice to that guy. I'm sorry. I'll come out here and be like, yeah, Ryan Grimm, when I apologized to him for being really rude one time, he didn't even know who I was, and he was nice to me anyway. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, man, I really kind of lashed out at you one time on air, and I feel bad because you're a great reporter. And he was like, who are you, buddy? It's okay. I don't ever be like, you know what I mean? I was like, you know what I mean? That's the difference between Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore has gone scorched earth against our channel ever since we asked him about why he was promoting this phony-ass organization called the People's Party that had dozens of people speak out about how Nick Brandon was a fraud. Anyway, long story short, these are the people that Cenk has decided are worth defending years later after they've ruined their reputation.
Yep. And by the way, it wasn't just in our live chat that Jimmy Dore was flooding us with messages. It was also in our personal private DMs asking us to apologize to our audience for lying about him when we never did any such thing. So yeah, that guy's completely unhinged. He's literally a mentally ill drunk. But that's kind of besides the point. Cenk brought it up for some reason.
Yeah, we have to brag about that because we were like, fuck you. He literally destroyed our whole channel. We had just signed a lease and at the time it felt like he'd succeeded. We literally signed a lease on an apartment that Gavin and I were going to use to start filming the show together. And then all of our patrons unsubscribed after we started taking shit from, I mean, he literally controls those people like flying monkeys. It's crazy.
And then he apologized to Francesca. Francesca apparently thought, great. I'm allowed to do this, but no one's allowed to do it to me. Anyway, you guys get it. So I don't, like I said, I want everybody rolling in the same direction because we're trying to build something here. And why do we want to build something? Because we want our movement to be strong. We want our message to get out there. We want to win over those voters because at the bottom line in all of this is eyes on the prize. You've heard me say that year after year after year. What's the prize? The prize, by the way, note to other online hosts, is not more subscribers. The prize is passing bills because those are the only things that affect our voters, our audiences, their actual lives. Let's pass paid family leave. Let's pass Medicare for all, higher wages, etc. And I hope wherever you are on the left-wing spectrum or the middle or wherever you are, I hope that you agree. And I hope that we all work.
He acts like he's a legislator or something. Like, bro, you're a talking head online. You're like a loudmouth op-ed commentator. You're not a fucking legislator. You're not like Bernie Sanders. Like, he's like, my job is to pass bills. Okay, which bills did you pass, bro? Like, how's Wolfpack doing? I think like 3 states like did some virtue signal or whatever, but like he's not a politician or a legislator.
Behind the scenes, Gavin, he's launching a new super duper PAC. Okay, and this one's gonna really fight for change. Okay, and this one's it's gonna understand that mostly we have agreements in America. You know what I mean? And it's just the radical left that's trying to divide us. Anyway, this guy's trying to be like, oh, I've always been critical of the right. I've never given them the benefit of the doubt. Whatever, blah blah blah. Cenk and Ana. Basically implying that DEI caused a plane crash earlier this year. Here's another one of Cenk Uygur thinking that Elon Musk Doge will possibly send $5,000 checks to Americans. I'd be kind of happy if we got that money, Cenk said. What he's doing is he's indulging in a bunch of obvious lies from Elon Musk. Elon Musk was never going to give those dividends back to Americans. He was using it as justification to get rid of things like the Department of Education, get rid of things like OSHA, get rid of things like air traffic controllers, people we need, dog, people that are going to actually make our society function. They fired park rangers. Okay, now it's going to be like 9 hours to get into Yosemite. I'm pissed off about that. Do you know what I mean? Oh, and on top of that, they're mass deporting people with no due process. They're disappearing people into the night. Yeah, fucking crazy. The country is about to turn on Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he throws that out there. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. Every single time he's like Charlie Brown kicking the football with Elon Musk. Elon Musk will say, maybe we should cut the Pentagon budget. Just kidding. We're going to, tunnel out workplace protections instead.
Yup.
Anyway, here, I'll throw this one back up.
Together and trying to pass those bills. So please, eyes on the prize. And so look, I'm going to show you 2 charts here. For a reason. There's some Media Matters did this chart recently. You guys, some of you might have seen it on air. And it has the right wing shows online in red, and it has the left wing shows online in blue. Okay, what we did there, and I hope you can see it, is we put a little bit of a green circle around the TYT show. So the Young Turks is right next to Rogan. We got 12 million.
I thought I could pause the way. This is like when Trump made his advisors bring in the map of the electoral college that made it look like he actually did win the popular vote. He was like, make all the states red, make them all red, and circle the ones that I won or whatever. It's like that TYT is we control all the biggest shows on the left. If you actually break down this chart, we are the left. It's so fucking stupid. I don't even know if this chart is legit either, or who made it. I forget, but well, media matters. I'm sure it's at least partially legit, and that is depressing. And again, people are always like, "Why do you keep talking about TYT?" Well, if this is true, they are still one of the largest, if not the largest, left-wing platform. So it seems pretty relevant. Seems like we have to address it. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I would just push back on that and say what it is it's a really antiquated assessment of the media landscape. And I think that that's one of the pitfalls of an organization like Media Matters. They're not including probably what they should be, which is running data like watch hours, watching click-through rate, watching, how many people are actually engaging with your content, because it makes it look like the Young Turks is more relevant than something like the Breakfast Club, which generates way more news. It makes it look like they're bigger than Brian Tyler Cohen, who generates far more views.
Oh, way more.
And Midas Touch and all of these kinds of organizations. So even if you're just looking at this from a neutral perspective, it is dramatically inflating the impact and relevance of the Young Turks network. And I totally agree with Gavin that since they are a 6 million sub channel, they are newsworthy, and we have to, debunk their bullshit when it comes across. Part of debunking that bullshit is debunking the fact that they do not have 12 million active subscribers. I would say that their channel output is reflective of a organization with 500,000 subs instead.
Million subscribers, one of the largest ones in the whole chart. But Rebel Headquarters is also on there. Damage Report is on there. Indisputable Dr. Rashad Ritchie's on there. And when you put them together, that's 18.8 million. And it is one of the largest presence in online media, period.
Even he doesn't believe it when he says that shit.
If you include our alumni, people that have been in part of the TYT network in one way or another throughout the years, then we're at 30.1 million subscribers. With the way
include all the turncoats and all the people that I fired and all the grifters that left the left, if you include my co-host Ana Kasparian, then it's even more.
Yeah, and it just makes it more and more humiliating. They do 10 million a month in channel views over at the Young Turks, guys. That's pathetic. That's pathetic numbers. Okay, the main channel there generates 10 million views a month. Okay, Gavin and I will generate 3.5 million on our paltry little channel over here with not even 100,000 subscribers. So he's making them look ginormous. That means that only a third of your fucking audience is clicking on your video over the course of an entire month. That's a disaster. That's a disaster, Jake.
Way that Media Matters does it. Today, actually, when you include all the platforms that we're on, some of which Media Matters did not count, we have 27 million subscribers. Now, why do I tell you that? Because guys, we're trying to build something. Fox News has dominated discourse in this country for at least 20 years.
Oh my God.
Almost 30 now. And they've made an enormous difference, and I think for the worse, for the much, much worse. We're trying to build a network that makes a difference for the better. But by the way, you don't have to agree with us, and you don't have to say, oh, well, okay, then great, and we should help you and support you. No, you don't have to do that. Build something of your own. Instead of being destructive over and over and over again, how about you be constructive? And you say, hey, Cenk, I don't like the way you guys are doing the TYT network. And I see that you've had this huge success, and you've given rise to other progressives that are now having success.
They have been eating absolute donkey dick for the last 3 years now, and it's painfully obvious. That's why you don't see people in studio anymore. That's why you don't see live panels. That's why you don't see any TYT reporters out in the field. What they're doing is they're making sure that Cenk and Ana get paid and then figuring everything else out afterwards. And that's what you do when you're a shrinking company that made a bunch of bad decisions. They have to pay back that $20 million loan, right? That's why they had to become the Polymarket studio instead of the People studio. Guys, it's crazy for him to come out here, and it's also just a flat out lie to posture as if he's some sort of kingmaker or mafia don of the online progressive left, to act as if he's some sort of a, canary in the coal mine. And I'm also coming from the top of the mountain over here. It's like, no, you're not, dude. You're painfully irrelevant, and you're also delusional. So that's not going to be a recipe for success at all.
And it seems like you helped to build something for our side. Well, you know what, though? These days I don't agree with you. So I'm going to build something larger. Guess what? I would love that. And whether you build something larger or not, let's say you, instead of building a media company or a media show, you built a platform that actually got Democrats elected, but progressive populist Democrats like Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna, et cetera. And then they got those bills passed. Oh my God, I would love you for it. Please do that. Build something positive. And that's what we're trying to do here, okay? So, and I don't say this just for Francesca, and the reason I'm doing this segment isn't just for her or to explain what's going on, but I do want bullshit. I want to be clear with you. It's mainly to tell you what we stand for, not just the media end of it, not just the host, but as a community. We all have to be open-minded and open-hearted enough to get these things done and push forward. So
we run our community here like the Amish. If you've pissed us off, you're excommunicated and we're gonna drag your name through the fucking mud.
Also, it's like, what the fuck have you built, bro? Your presidential campaign was a miserable fucking failure. Your congressional campaign was a miserable fucking failure. Rebellion PAC, miserable fucking failure, which now literally only exists as a way for Brianna Wu, a massively bigoted Zionist transphobe piece of shit. It only exists for her to get a fucking paycheck. Justice Democrats, you could argue, was kind of successful, but they kicked your ass out the door before they even elected a single candidate. You can't take credit for that, bro. They kicked you to the fucking curb before they actually had a single ounce of success. They had that success after your ass was out the door. So what exactly have you built? Again, Wolfpack, I like the mission behind it, but it has not been successful. Objectively, it's been an utter failure. So what's this like? What have you built? What have you built? It's like, what the fuck have you built, bro? A channel that with 6 million subscribers that you've squandered, that you've destroyed the reputation of by taking money from Polymarket and Jeffrey Katzenberg. Like, this is such a dumb line of attack. And again, it kind of reminds me of that energy from the filmmaker who's lashing out at critics saying, like, where's your movie? Like, you think my movie sucks? Well, where's your movie? All you do is write about movies. Well, I actually make movies. Where's your movie, bro? It's like, well, it's not a very mature way to respond to criticism.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's like, bro, guys, I have 6 million subscribers. And it's like, yeah, when was the last time you had 1 million plus view video? When was the last time 1 million of those 6 million people decided to pay attention to a word you had to say? Oh, the best video this month was a 280,000 view video that you weren't even in. Woof.
And also, if you do have 28 million subscribers when you combine all the metrics, then why the fuck are you spending time responding to someone with 150,000? Right?
Or 99,000.
Yeah. Like, I thought lions don't care about the opinions of sheeps or whatever. So like, here you are with your 30 million subscribers, apparently. Why are you so triggered by this, bro? This lady has like a fucking infinitesimal fraction of that.
Yeah, as Ronan said, yep, he spent 26 minutes trash talking one woman because he's trying to build something positive. I know, it's fucking crazy. Anyway, this is about over.
Look, last thing is, I wish Francesca well. I mean, she said those things, and I get it. We've got bad feelings these days, but all the power to her, okay? If she can convince the country to be on her side on all these issues, even the ones we disagree on, terrific. Try that. Try to make that happen. And no problem, happy to have it. Like she said, good career before. I'm sure she will afterwards. You can go check her out wherever she is. So I don't have hard feelings. I'm not angry. I'm just done with it. I want a positive atmosphere here where we fight for you guys. And we do that in all different ways. Well, then so some hosts have a different idea on how to do it.
Positive atmosphere. Jake's like, I want a positive atmosphere. Well, I've been tuning into TYT lately, and there's no positive atmosphere. It's a dog shit, putrid atmosphere. It seems like neither you nor Anna really want to be there anymore. Seems like you're both phoning it in. Seems like you don't really have an ideology. It doesn't seem like you give a fuck about anything. Even Anna herself said, I don't feel like there's anything worth being an activist for these days. And that's the energy that people are reacting negatively to, because they can tell you're tired and they don't give a shit anymore.
But great, let's have that conversation. We've had that conversations, those debates, those discussions, so we can get to the right answer and so we can help you guys decide what you believe instead of what we believe. So for folks who don't want to be part of that, bless your hearts. Go get them, Tiger, okay? But for folks who think, yeah, that's a great idea, and I'd love to pass the things that are in your populist plan, 6 incredibly popular policies, higher wages, anti-war, etc. Get money out of politics. So
Oh, I'm not going to unilaterally disarm myself and say that I'm not going to take any corporate money. So yeah, while I'm running for president, I will be taking super PAC money. I'm supposed to believe that you are ardently sincere in your quest to get money out of politics? No, you don't like it when other people have money in politics. There's a difference. It's kind of like what we say. You don't hate capitalism, you hate being poor. Okay, we'll find out how much you really hate capitalism when you can feed yourself and you can get up on another person who's less fortunate than you. That's when we'll find out what your values are. Okay, that's when we'll find out if you're going to put your money where your mouth is. Jake never puts his money where his fucking mouth is.
And by the way, one thing that Cenk listed off on another portion of last night's live stream, another issue where he disagrees with the far left or the max left. He was like, unlike the max left, I don't think that I think billionaires should be. I think people should be able to get $1 billion. Like I think billionaires should exist. So that's how pro-capitalist this guy is. It's not just that he isn't a fucking communist or whatever. It's that he's pro-billionaire.
Bro, that's insane. I did not know that he said that. Even Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota, was like, I think we should cap income at $12 million a year, $1 million a month. He was like, you can't live off of that. I don't know what to fucking tell you. And I was like, that's a man that was governor. Hello.
That's super rich.
I know. And a guy that doesn't like no stranger to the dollar, bro, makes more money than I'll ever fucking make.
If we can do that together, whether we disagree on some issues or not, wonderful. But whatever you do, please roll forward. Please be mindful of others that are, in this community, care for each other, love each other, and let's try to be positive together. And let's go build something as we always do at TYT.
Build something, guys. I'm so inspired now.
Bro, it's like giving the same spiel that Ellen DeGeneres used to do at the end of every single. Let it go dance in public, go love somebody, be a good friend, have a happy neighborhood, be a good guy. Let's just be kind to one another. Let's ignore the problems and fundamental pillars of inequality in our society. Let's just vibe.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. The